Hello guys, welcome to my channel, and this is going to be another interesting series where we are going to be talking about detailings in Revit. Alright, so I'm going to take my time to explain every single kind of detail and all of those other stuff that we can do anytime it comes to detailing in Revit. Just as my role model and mentor has taught me, I'm going to teach you guys the same way as he has taught me. So I'm going to take my time to explain everything in here for you guys because I love each and every single viewer out there. So before I get started, if you're watching this video and you haven't liked this video or subscribed to my channel, please do make sure you subscribe to my channel because it's going to help me out a lot. So please do make sure you subscribe to my channel and you tell a friend to tell another friend to come study each and every single aspect of topics we have inside of the Revit software. Alright, so I'm going to take my time. This entire series is going to be about detailing, and I'm going to teach you guys some tricks and tips on how you can get all of your detailings to the highest professional level as you can get. So I'm going to take my time, and I currently have a model in here where I'm currently working on this model for something. All right, so this is just a simple model I have in here where I've actually cut a section in there and then opened that section up in there. So I'm currently in a section view. All right, one of my section views in there. So if I should head into the ground floor plan, you notice I have this in there, and I'm currently in this section view. So I'm going to go back into that section view, and we're going to start off with our detailing. Now when it comes to detailing in Revit, there are several ways you can go about that in Revit, but I'm first of all going to talk about the very huge model aspect when it comes to detailing. All right, it's called the callouts in Revit. So I'm going to start off with the callouts topic, and then we're going to take off from there and also get into deeper stuff inside of Revit. So to first of all find your callout tool, all right, you need to first of all go into your view tab, and when you head into your view tab, under this section here where you have this section icon, you're going to notice in here we have the callout tool. All right, so what this callout tool does is that it kind of enlarges your model to a bigger scale where you can actually now draw that detail out to the exact representation that you need. All right, so what callout does is that it enlarges a portion of your main model or the main view that you are working in. So let's say if I was working in this section view, right, and I want to create a detail with my parapet roof in here, the joints between my parapet roof and all of those floor slabs in there with the parapet wall, right, and I want to enlarge that. That is the work of the callout tool. It's going to enlarge that to a bigger view where you can actually do that and also work and create some details that you want to fit in your presentation. All right, so first of all, I'm going to try this out with you guys, and we are going to create some details, talk about details and all of those other stuff inside of Revit. So it's going to be an interesting series. I want you guys to sit back, get your PC, and then follow along with every step in the way, and I'm sure by the end of this series you should be able to know how to go about creating details in Revit. So we are going to start off, just like I said, with the callout tool. All right, with the callout model tool. Now when you get into this icon in here, I've said it before, you have to go into the view tab, and then you're going to find this callout icon in here. So right beneath the callout icon, you're going to see a drop down menu in there where it has the rectangle and also the sketch tool. All right, so it just has two commands, which we have the rectangle and then we have the sketch tool. So with the rectangle, it comes off like a rectangle, just as the name implies. And with the sketch tool, you would have to sketch that out, just like the way you'd have to sketch those floor slabs you have been sketching and all of those roof slabs you have been sketching in Revit. It's also going to come out basically just like that, where you're going to have your draw tools on the side. All right, so so we are going to start off, and we are going to first of all try all of these out. All right, I don't like to explain things without trying them with you guys. So we are first of all going to start with the rectangle tool. So I'm going to click on that rectangle tool in there, and you notice it just comes off this way. Nothing really happens. All right, we just have our rectangle tool in here, and let's say if I want to create that detail of this joint between the parapet roof in there. All right, so I'm going to draw that call out in there. So what you want to do is you would want to click in there, and you want to click and hold. You just want to click it in there. All right, so when you just click this in there and you just drag this in here to probably any kind of view you want. So I just want this view in here, so I just want to detail that view out. So I'm going to drag this to somewhere around in here and then just click in here. All right, so you notice I've done a rectangular call out in here. All right, so I have this rectangular call out in here. Now when you pay attention to your project browser, all right, when you move directly into your project browser, you're going to notice your call out view is always going to come in the particular view that you worked in. So let's say if I create a call out in my ground floor plan, all right, so let me come into the ground floor plan, and I want to create a much more detail in this single bed area, right? So if I should click on that call out in there and just click right here in and bring it in here, you're going to notice the call out I created is always going to be like a duplicate copy on the view that I'm in. So when I head into the project browser, you're going to notice on the ground floor plan right beneath it, I have a duplicate of the ground floor plan, but it is the call out I created in there. All right, so when you head straight into the section, you're going to notice it's going to have that section where we created that call out one in there. All right, so you can actually rename that in there. So I'm going to delete this out of the way and just delete this out of there, and I've deleted that call out of the way, so we don't have this call out in there anymore. I'm going to get back into my section 1, and we are going to continue from here and talk about the call out. So now one interesting thing about this call out is when you click on it in there, you're going to notice we have this crop regions. All right, so this is this crop regions I have in here. So first of all, before I can make an example of this, I need to open out that view. So let me just open this view out, which is the section 1 call out 1. So I'm going to click on that and open that view up, and you're going to notice this is what we have in here. All right, so we have this in here, which is our call out of that particular view in there. So let me just undock this view and place this view somewhere around on the side in here. All right, so this is perfect. I have this on the side and this here. All right, so this rectangular box you see in here serves as the view extent region. It serves as the view extent region or as our crop region. All right, so if I should click on this icon in here and I should extend this in here, you're going to notice it's also going to extend inside of the section call out view. All right, so you know what you do in here is also going to affect here. So if I should come in here and then reduce this in here and bring this somewhere around here, you're going to notice it's also going to reduce also in here. If I should extend this and then also close this up a little bit, you're going to notice it's also closing up in this view in here. So this is what this does. So this is serving as our view extent region. All right, it's serving as the crop region to the particular view that you would want to detail out in there. All right, so we have this in here which I can extend in here. All right, so this is what this view does in here. All right, so now when you pay attention to this dots in here, we have this section head in here. All right, now don't freak out in here. This actually also works just as the section heads you have in there. It also works just as the section heads. Now I heard in when my role model backend architect, he said anything that you see that turns blue inside of Revit means is clickable. That means that you can actually click it and it's going to send it into that view. So if I should click on this section head in there, it's going to send me into this view. So now let's try that with the section head in here. So if I should click on that, okay, let me first undock this view and place it back to where it is. All right, so this is perfect. Get back into the section, and now, so he said anything that is turned this blue color is actually clickable. So you can actually click on that to get into that particular view in there. So let me just click on that, and you notice we get into this view. So same thing applies for these levels as well. So when you also click on this, it's going to send you into that level in there. So anything that appears blue, all right, it highlights blue in your model or inside of Revit, it means that it's clickable, and when you click on that, it's going to send you to that particular view. So that's just one tip I thought you guys need to know. All right, so I'm going to get back into my section head, and we have this in here, which is our call out we just made in our section. All right, so you notice we have this point in here. So if I should click on this point in there, it's actually for me to be able to navigate this annotation head in there. All right, this call out head I have in here is for me to navigate this in my view. So let's say I have a lot of stuff in here and I do not want this to also conflict with what is also going to happen in here. I can actually select this and then move this to somewhere very beneficial for me. So I can actually place this here, and with the one in the center is for angling that. All right, so let's say I want to break this up a little bit. So I can just break this up to form some sort of like a rectangle, or bring this up to somewhere around here, or bring this to somewhere around the center and leave it somewhere, something like this. All right, so this middle one is actually to break that in there. All right, so you can bring this in back and you can actually send this somewhere around here. All right, so that is what this does in here. So this is just something you need to know, by the way, and you can actually use this to arrange all of this stuff in there. So we have this in there. Let me just tilt this to make, I want to tilt this to become very straight in there. All right, so this is perfect. I have this in here. So this is the perfect call out I have in here. So when you head into your section view and then you click in there, you're going to notice we come into our section view in there. All right, so this is what this call outs actually work in. This is how this call outs actually work. So let me get back into the section view and let's try out the sketch tool. So I'm going to click on this drop down menu in here, and then I'm going to click on my sketch tool right beneath the rectangular part in here. So we have this, which is going to form that rectangular part. Now, one more thing I think I'm forgetting. So when you click on this, you can actually edit the region, the crop region of this in here. So I can actually select this and then I can head into the edit crop in here. I can click on that and I can actually edit this in here. So I can draw this to come off, let's say somewhere around here, and then bring this somewhere around here. So now TR on my keyboard to trim and extend all of this, and then I can finish this. So now you notice my call out is actually cropped in there, and it's going to be just as this, it's going to serve just as this I think it's an L shaped, which is turned anti-clockwise. So it's going to be just as this shape we have in here. So when I head back into the section call out view, you notice we have that same particular shape I had in here, which is also going to appear also the same way also in this call out in here. So you can actually crop that in there. So if I should extend this, it's also going to extend in that section view in there. I've already shown you that in subsequent, I've already showed you that earlier on ago. So when you extend any of these crop regions, it's also going to extend in your view in there. So now I'm going to get into the sketch tool. So let me just reduce this up. Let me bring this up a little bit. Okay, this is perfect. And we are going to try out the sketch tool. So I'm going to click on that drop down menu, and then I'm going to select that sketch tool I have in here. All right, so this is perfect. So now Revit tends to give out, it gives us this draw tool. Not all of our draw tools where we have the spline line and all of that stuff. It just gives us the line, the rectangle, the inscribed polygon, and the circumscribed polygon, and also pick line tools. All right, so I'm going to do with the line, the basic straight line. All right, so let's say I want a call out that is going to pick out just this particular stair for me to be able to detail out. All right, so I just want to pick out this portion of this stair where I can actually detail this out to the very core of that. All right, so I just want to detail out this stair, so I'm going to pick and draw out a crop region in there where I can actually detail this out. So I'm going to finish this, and I have this in here. All right, so I can move this in here to probably any part I want, and I have this in here. So now I'm going to get into that section view, and you notice we have this call out in here with that particular staircase in there. Right, so we have this stairs in here with our landing in here. So if I did want to create a detail on this stair, I can actually create that detail in here by heading straight into the annotate tool, and I can actually use my detail lines and also use my field region and use my revision cloud to actually create a bubble around any parts that I want to detail. So all of this stuff in here that are not grayed out is what I can actually use to detail out every single thing that I'm having inside of my callout view. All right, so this is how you use that callout view. It's going to enlarge that particular space you have in your model. So let's say we have this ground floor and we want to detail stuff out inside of our bedroom area. All right, we can actually create a callout in there, and it's going to enlarge that, and we can create some nice details in there. So anything you do in your model is also going to affect your also going to affect your call out view. All right, so you need to know that. All right, but then Revit has a view in there where it is called the drafting view, just like AutoCAD. It's a two-dimensional view where you can actually go in there and use your detail lines to actually draw any single kind of detail that you want in there. All right, so what you want to do is you'd want to go into the view tab, and you're going to find it in here. All right, we have this in here where it's our drafting view. All right, so we can actually click on that, and it's going to give you this pop-up menu where you can actually rename this. So let's say I'm going to call this let me call this a detail. Let me erase that detail. Let me call this detail for stairs. All right, detail for stair. And you would probably want to make sure you check your scale in there. So it depends on the kind of drawing you're having in here. So let's say some people usually used to work in, some people would prefer to work in the scale of, when it comes to showing more details, people would like to work in the scale of 1 in 20, 25, or 50. All right, so where I come from in Ghana, Accra here, we usually do the details in 1 in 20 or 25, but you can also do that in 50. It depends on the kind of project you're working on. Sometimes the things tend to be very huge, so you can actually consider some scaling in there. So I'm going to do this in 1 in 20. All right, so I'm going to use 1 in 20, and then I'm going to click on OK in there. So this is that view Revit is going to give me in here. All right, so if I should lose this view away in there, when you head into your project browser and you scroll all the way down, you're going to see it in here. We have in here the drafting view. All right, so you can click on that plus sign right beside it, and then we have this detail for stairs. So you can click back in there, and we have this view in here. So nothing really works in here. You can see we have nothing really working in here. So this is where you can actually use your detail lines to actually draw in your detail. And let's say if you have any image or a particular detail or an image in there, you can import it into this view, scale it up, and then you can draw all of those dimensions, draw out the outlines in this view. So this view tends to work just like people working in AutoCAD. All right, so that's just by the way. You guys need to know that Revit also has that kind of view where it's a two-dimensional view. All right, you're not going to get any 3D model in here where you can actually check and see that in here. All right, it's not going to be like the callouts we have in here. So if I want to create a detail in my detail view, I can just get in here and I can go straight into my annotate line, my annotate section, and then I can click on that detail line, and I can just draw out the detail for my stair in there. Just draw out that detail. So click on detail line, and you can extend this to maybe, let's say 150. All right, let me do 150. I have this in here, and I can do 300 or 280 for the thread, and I can also go ahead and do 150 more in there, and also do 280 for the thread. So you can come in here and actually draw your detail for each and every single thing you have. All right, now this serves as a very, very important view in Revit. So you can also store in a whole bunch of details in this detail view, and then you can import that into any kind of project and then use it for the project that maybe you might be working in. All right, so one more thing is that you can also import an image in here. Let me show you guys how you can actually do that. You can head straight into the insert tab, and then you're going to see it in here. We have the link image, link PDF, and we have this manage links, and we have import card, import GVX. Now I'm going to get into a course where we are going to talk about all of this stuff in here in the future. All right, so we are going to stick to what we are doing today, which is detailings in Revit. So we are going to import a detail image in there where we are going to put this image in here, and we are going to use detail lines to actually draw the outlines to serve as our personal detail inside of Revit. So that's one trick you can actually do in here, just like AutoCAD users, where they pack in a whole bunch of details in one file, and then they can just come in there and pick a particular detail and then use for any kind of project that they want. So you can also get in here into import image, and I have a whole bunch of details which are images, and I usually import into Revit and then draw those outlines out and use them in my project. All right, so I can get straight into desktop, and because of this purpose of this tutorial, I have it on my desktop. So I'm going to click on detail, and you're going to notice in here I have all of those images in here. Right, and let me change it to thumbnails, and you can see it in there. I have several lots of those details in there, so I'm going to use this detail. All right, and I'm going to import that into my schedule, into the, not the schedule, into this drafting view. Why did I say schedule? Is it all right? So I'm going to import this into this drafting view, and just click somewhere around here, and then I can place this in here. So you can scale this up inside of your software, and then you can use detail lines. Just get into annotate, and then you click on detail line, and then you can use this to actually draw out all of this detail in there. And you can use the field region, get back into annotate, use the field region to do all of these hatches you have in here to represent all of this stuff you have in here. Right, so this is one way you can use this drafting view. All right, so now one more thing I want to show you guys is when you head into this callout section. All right, now you notice that anything I'm going to do inside of this callout view, all right, if I should click this wall and if I should move it, it's also going to move inside of the original model. All right, inside of Revit. Now let's say I just want this to be a two-dimensional view, where if I should move it, it shouldn't also move in my actual model inside of Revit. There's actually a solution for that. All right, so what you can do is when you head back into your section and you are about to draw in a call out. So let me first of all delete this call outs I have in here, and it's going to give me a whole bunch of warning. Of course I want to delete it, and of course I want to also delete this one as well. So you can delete this out of there, and let me just leave this section as it is. So now when you head back in here, and let's get back into the view tab, and we are going to click on our call out icon in there. So I'm going to click on the call out in there. All right, now I want this call out to be a two-dimensional form. I want it to appear in, let's say, in my drafting view. All right, I want that call out to appear in that drafting view, where I can actually use lines to actually do all of those details that I have to do in here. All right, so what you can do is before you draw the call out in there, all right, you have this in here which you call the reference. All right, where we can actually reference other views. So all of this stuff you see in here are views. You can see it at the top in here, you see it in the views, and we have all. So every single thing you see in here are all views. All right, so we have the opportunity to be able to reference other views. So I'm going to check this, and when you click on the drop down menu in here, you're going to notice in here our section view 2 is also showing, and our drafting view for stair is also showing. All right, so I'm going to select that drafting view for stair, and I'm going to draw the call out in here. All right, so I'm going to draw the call out in there, where it's going to cover all of that stair in there. Now you're going to notice it has this sim in there, which is the display view by this section. All right, do not freak out. All right, so now it means that I've actually placed this view also in my drafting view. So if I should head back into the drafting view and just click in there, and let me just delete this image in here, and I have these detail lines in here. All right, it makes me to be able to reference all of these images of every single stuff I have in here, also in my drafting view in there. So I can click in here, and you notice in here I have this reference to my drafting view. So you can actually select any drafting view you have, or any kind of view you have in here, and then reference that call out inside of that other view you have in here. One more thing I think I'm forgetting. And one more thing I think I'm forgetting is, you notice we have this dash and then these three dots in there. All right, this is actually the sheet number and sheet title. So do not freak out when we place this on a sheet. It's actually going to input those names in there. Right, it's going to input those names in there, and so you do not want to freak out about that. So that's just by the way. And we have this simple call out in there for just this space. All right, so now you notice in here I do not have section. I do not have the call out showing under the section 1 in there. That's because I referenced another view, which is the detail view I have in here. All right, so I do not have the section showing in here. All right, so that's just by the way. And that is it for the drafting views we have inside of Revit. And that is it for that. And I'm going to get straight into us talking about a very interesting something also that we can actually apply in our detailings, which is the legend tool. All right, so you notice inside of our view tab in here, we have in here the legend. All right, so when I click on the drop down menu, you notice we have in here legend and we have in here keynote legend. All right, so I'm also going to talk about this in here, which is also going to serve as one. It's also going to be an interesting thing to actually going to serve as a purpose in our detailings in Revit. So it's also one thing that we also need to learn about and also need to know how to use this in there, which is the legend icon we have in here. All right, so when you click on that drop down menu in here, you notice we have in here legend and keynote legend. All right, so keynote legend actually produces a keynote legend for any kind of legend you want to create inside of Revit, and we can use this legend we have in here to create legends of our buildings. Let's say we have in there our walls and also absolutely anything. So let's say we have a door window shadow we want to create. We can actually use this legend icon we have in here to actually produce more detailings inside of Revit. All right, now another way I can access this legend in here is to head straight into the project browser, and you're going to notice we have in here the legend icon in here. I can just right click in there and then I can select new legend in here. So I can also come in here and then select this in here. So I'm going to click on new legend, and it's going to come off just as we did for our drafting view, and you can actually scale this in there. So I think I'm cool with the 1 in 1 to 1 is to 1 in 150. I'm cool with that, and we have this legend 1 as the name. So you can actually change the name of the legend you want to create in there. So I'm going to select this and click on OK in there, and I have this legend view in here. All right, so now you can also use when you get into the annotate tab, you can also use your detail lines to actually draw out any kind of legend or any kind of detail you want to create inside of the Revit software in this legend icon in there. And you can probably create any kind of detail in there using your detail lines and your field region in there. All right, so I'm going to select all of these and delete all of that. And one way you can also maximize the use of that legend icon is to head straight into the annotate tab like we just did, and then right beside this region icon we have in here the components. All right, where we have the component in there, and you can click on that drop down menu and we have detail component, repeating detail component, and then we have in here the legend component. All right, so I'm going to be showing you guys all of this stuff and how they actually work inside of Revit in the course of this series. So I'm going to be explaining all of that in the course of this series. So if I should click on just the icon in there and I just drag the mouse pointer in here, you're going to notice I have something of an X with a green sign in here. All right, so what this green sign is if I just click and drop this, escape out of there and select this, you're going to notice in here we have the family category. All right, so this green sign actually is a cable tray fitting. All right, so when you click on the drop down menu in here, you're going to notice we have in here the cable tray fitting. All right, so this is it for that green tab in there. And when you head in here, we have the view where you can, it's in a section where we have this view in section, and we have the host length. So I'm going to show you guys how you can actually do that. So let's say if we want to create a legend for our doors, all right, a door and window shadow, we can call it, and we just click on the drop down menu in here. So I'm going to find that particular door, the type and family of a particular door I used in my model. So I'm going to select this door, and you're going to notice I have this door in here, which is this particular door in here showing in the plan view. So I can change it here, and then I can show this in the front view. All right, so you can get back in here, and then you can change this to the back view, and you can get back in here, show it in the front view, and get back in here, show it into the plan view, or any kind of view that you want. All right, now with the host length, since this family is a hosted family, it's being hosted on a wall, and you notice in here we have the host length. So this dimension you see in here actually serves as the dimension of the extension of the walls that this door is being hosted on. So if I should change this to probably 1500 and click in here, you notice this extends to the length of 1500 millimeters in there. So that's what that host length actually means in here. So we can actually use this, and we can get into here and draw out a detailed line in there, and we can use this to actually do our door and window shadow in there. All right, so we can get back into our family in there, legend component, and get back in here, select that door, and we can change this to the front, and we can keep this down here. So this door is the plan view, and this door is the elevation view. So we can create a simple legend in there, and we can also add a text in here where we can talk about every single stuff that we'll be doing for this legend in here. Right, so this is how you can also create some more details inside of Revit by using that legend icon we had in our view tab in here. Right, so now one very cool thing about the legend view is that you can place that on multiple sheets. All right, since it's a legend view, you can actually place this view on multiple sheets. Normally in Revit, when you place a view on sheets, you cannot place the same view on another sheet. Right, it's not going to work. But with the legend view, you can actually place that on multiple sheets, which is kind of cool. So you can place that also on multiple sheets we have in there. So you can create basically a legend for every single kind of stuff you have in there. All right, so if I should head back in here to annotate and click in here, you can actually place any kind of family you have in there, whether it's a system family or a component family. What I mean by system families are the walls, the floor slabs you have in Revit, the roof, and all of that. The component families are the chairs and all of those stuff that you load into the software. So you can come into this drop down menu in here, and you're going to see all of those families in there. So we have this generic trim window, and when you scroll down, you're basically going to find every single kind of family that you used in modeling out in your design. All right, in your project, any kind of family you're going to use, you're going to find them in there. So you can actually create a legend for all of those models you have inside of Revit. So that's one cool thing, and you can also place this single view on multiple sheets in there. All right, so that's one thing you need to also know, by the way. Escape out of there, and we have this in here. So this is one thing you need to know, and we are going to end here, and we are going to continue in our next part, where we are going to be getting into serious stuff inside of Revit. All right, so if you haven't liked or subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It's going to help me out a lot. And if you didn't get something, you can actually drop it in the comment section. I'm sure as we continue in this series, you are probably going to understand it very well, and most of your questions are going to be answered. All right, so do not be in a rush to ask questions. All right, so in the course of this series, I'm probably going to answer most of the questions going in your head. All right, so we've talked about the callouts, the sketch tool, the drafting view, and also the legend view, where we can actually create legends of every single model or any kind of thing we have inside of Revit, which is going to also serve as a detail in Revit. All right, so we are going to end here, and we're going to continue in our next part. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace out.
I'm still working real hard on a Saturday. A future I don't see from a mile away.